Many years ago, in Sunyata compound, a noisy face me I face you community, where everybody woke up before their alarm because neighbors' quarrels always started the day, there lived a woman called Kadiatu, the queen of curiosity, the minister of monitoring spirits, the managing director of other people's business, and the international CEO of I must know what is happening. See, if gist was oxygen, she would never die. If hanging around people's windows was a sport, she would have won gold at the Olympics. And if curiosity was a school course, she would have graduated with first class and scholarship for master's degree. She always said, me, I cannot see something and keep quiet now. Even my spirit will not allow me. I must know. I need details. Everyone in the compound knew her talents. Anytime drama started, before anybody else came out, Kadiatu would already arrive barefoot, wearing a scarf sideways, pretending to stretch or sweep, even when she was holding broom without packer. And she would stand there nodding her head professionally while receiving information faster than MTN 5G network. Now, Sunyata compound itself was a circus. From morning till evening, something was always happening. Babies cried like loudspeakers. Women argued like court judges. Men fought about football scores. And children ran around as if they were training for a marathon competition. Saturday morning was always environmental sanitation, where people held long brooms and shouted instructions like military commanders. Sunday morning was always prayer meeting, where Auntie Bintu would pray so loudly that even the goats would kneel down. And in the middle of all this madness, Kadiatu proudly positioned herself like a CCTV. If somebody coughed strangely in room 7, Kadiatu, who was in room 2, would say, that is symptoms of malaria. They will buy drugs tomorrow. If someone carried a bag early in the morning, she would whisper, traveling time. Maybe they are going to court. Maybe your landlord is chasing them. She collected every information like ATM collected cards. Even the landlord, Pa Ibrahim, who was tired of life, tired of his tenants, and tired of the problem of African rents, sometimes said, see, if police are looking for criminal, they should ask Kadiatu first. She knows everything. People in the compound got used to hiding anything they didn't want to be publicized, because if Kadiatu saw it, it would spread across the neighborhood like free national cake. One woman, Mama Sori, once decided that she would hide her pregnancy until 5 months, but Kadiatu spotted the small stomach and announced loudly, congratulations, you are expecting twins. The whole compound clapped, while Mama Sori stood confused because even she herself hadn't confirmed if she was really pregnant yet. Kadiatu was also a master of strategic spying. She would pretend to wash plates, but angle herself so she could see people's door reflection inside her stainless steel plates. She would go outside with a bucket of water, but forget to fetch water because she was busy stretching her neck like a giraffe, trying to see who put luggage in their car. She would bend down, tying her shoelace she didn't have, just to hear people whispering. One day, she followed a cat by mistake while chasing gist, and she fell inside gutter. The whole compound laughed for 3 weeks. Even children sang, Kadiatu fell inside gutter because she wanted to discover. But the embarrassment did not stop her. It only sharpened her curiosity like a knife on grinding stone. She always said proudly, it is better to fall inside gutter than to miss important information. She believed knowing other people's business was community responsibility, and she always defended herself like a lawyer. Whenever someone told her to mind her business, she would fold her arms and say, what if something bad is happening and I don't know? What if someone is a criminal? What if somebody is hiding charm? What if somebody is cooking without salt? Should I pretend and keep quiet? No, I must know. And because she was the loudest megaphone in the compound, she sat at the center of every conversation. If any sound happened at night, be it sound of dragging, running, suspicious footsteps, generator noise, or door opening, Kadiatu would wake up instantly and place her ear on the wall like a stethoscope. If she heard someone sneeze, she would say, "God bless you," through the window. Life continued with madness everywhere, and everybody managed themselves, but Kadiatu's curiosity kept growing like weed after rain. She thought she was helping the community, saving lives from danger, and protecting the compound like a security guard without uniform. But little did she know that the same curiosity she carried like a handbag and defended like human rights would soon disgrace her publicly and scatter her respect completely. On one strange Thursday night, when the compound dogs were unusually calm as if they attended fasting and prayer, around 11:30 p.m., when everybody had already locked their doors, children were snoring like baby tractors, and Pa Ibrahim, the landlord, was somewhere counting rent money with torchlights and complaining about life as usual. The compound was peacefully quiet for the first time in history, and Kadiatu was just about to sleep when she heard a sound that woke her spirits faster than an alarm clock. Pa pa pa. The kind of sound that doesn't sound like human being dragging normal load, but like someone dragging coffin or transporting spiritual luggage. Kadiatu stood up immediately and became wide awake like someone who drank 5 cups of pure black coffee without sugar. Her curiosity jumped up and sat on her chest like a heavy stone. She tiptoed to the window and opened it slowly like a thief rehearsing. Outside, she saw a tall man wearing black hoodie and dark glasses at night, which is always suspicious. He was pulling a long wooden trunk with iron padlock. The box was heavy like something containing gold, money, or kidnapped ancestors. The man did not look around. He did not cough, blink, smile, or scratch his head. He just dragged the box straight to the empty room at the far end of the compound, room 9, the room people avoided because they believed it was haunted or at least spiritually questionable. The man opened the door, entered, and locked the door with 7 padlocks as if his life depended on it. Then silence swallowed the compound again. However, Kadiatu was vibrating with shock and excitement. She rushed outside with speed, pretending she came to pick buckets, even though she was holding nothing. And then she ran straight to Mama Hawa, who was the only person whose monitoring spirit was almost as strong as hers. She banged Mama Hawa's door urgently. "Mama Hawa, wake up, wake up! Mysterious things are happening in this compound, though." A stranger entered room 9 with a coffin box. Mama Hawa opened the door with her hair scattered like a hurricane. "What is it? Is fire burning? Did NEPA bring lights?" Kadiatu whispered dramatically. "A man came in just now with a big trunk. He entered that cursed room. Something is inside that box. I must know." Now, that sentence woke Mama Hawa's gossip engine immediately, and in less than 10 minutes, the whole compound woke up mysteriously. They started fetching water, sweeping, washing plates, and walking around like confused zombies pretending to do night chores. Even people who normally slept like dead bodies came out in wrapper forming night watch, because in Africa, when something smells like drama, people don't mind their business. They gather. Someone whispered, "Maybe he's a ritualist." Another one said, "Maybe he's carrying dead body." Auntie Bintu, who was armed with a big Bible like shield and anointing oil ready to fight demons, began rebuking shadows. Any demon that entered this compound tonight received thunder. Suddenly, they heard strange scratching sound come from the new tenant's door, a long dragging noise like someone pulling a chain, then a soft sound like chanting or crying. The whole compound froze. People held their breath as if they owed oxygen money. Sori, the town crier, whispered, "Ah, this is not normal. Something is inside that box." People crossed their chest and held hands. Even the cat stopped moving. And then, to add pepper, The light bulb in the corridor flickered and went off completely. Women screamed like they saw rapture happening. Men ran backward as if they saw police chasing drivers without license. Children started crying, and in the middle of the chaos, Kadiatu smiled with excitement because the mystery was becoming sweeter than fresh suya with pepper. She whispered to herself, "Tomorrow morning, I will find out what is inside that box. I must investigate." The next day came like a thief in the night, fast and silently. The whole compound woke up buzzing with tension like a transformer about to explode. People gathered in small groups, whispering and exchanging theories like exam answers. Even those who normally minded their business now stood outside pretending to sun dry clothes that were already dry yesterday because nobody wanted to miss what was happening in room 9. But nobody's spirit was burning hotter than Kadiatu's. She could not eat, she could not drink, she could not sit down, she could not even blink properly because her brain kept shouting, "What is inside that box?" She tried minding her business once, but her body rejected the idea like expired medicine. She looked around the compound and whispered to herself like a top secret commander, "Today I must know. I will investigate and solve this mystery. This is a national assignment." Then she tightened her scarf and marched outside like an undercover agent. As she approached the corridor, she saw baby Khadijatu, the 6-year-old girl whose wisdom was older than her age and eyes were sharper than CCTV camera. That child noticed everything. She even knew when ants were moving suspiciously. She stopped Khadijatu and asked with her tiny detective voice, "Auntie K, where are you going with your face like FBI?" Kadiatu whispered suspiciously, "There is a mission, secret mission. Do you want to join?" Baby Khadijatu nodded. "I am always ready. I have been trained by cartoon detective shows." And just like that, the two of them transformed into amateur spies. They crawled along the corridor on hands and knees like lizards dodging broom, stopping whenever someone walked by. People stared at them but acted like they didn't see because everybody already knew curiosity had eaten Kadiatu's destiny, so nobody wanted to join her in trouble. When they reached room 9, they pressed their ears to the door and listened. They heard nothing for a moment. Then boom, something inside hit the floor with a loud crash that shook the building. Kadiatu and baby Khadijatu jumped up like popcorn inside hot oil. "Auntie, something is inside that room." Kadiatu nodded. "Of course, something is inside. That is why we are here. Focus." They bent down, searching for a way to peep in. Then suddenly, baby Khadijatu pointed excitedly. "Look, the key is hanging on the nail." Khadijatu screamed quietly like somebody who just won a lottery but must not shout because witches are watching. She grabbed the key gently and whispered, "He forgot the key. This is a sign from heaven." Baby Khadijatu nodded like a bishop. "Let us open and see small. Just small peep only." However, the problem with curiosity is that it doesn't have reverse gear. It keeps driving you forward. Kadiatu inserted the key into the lock slowly and nervously. Her heart was beating like a talking drum, and her legs were shaking as if she was dancing zanku against her will. She turned the key. 1 step, 2 steps. Click! The door opened slightly. A cold wind rushed out like freezer explosion, blowing their scarves backward. They froze and looked at each other. Baby Khadijatu whispered, "Maybe we should go back, oh." But Khadijatu whispered back, "After reaching here, over my dead body. Move in." They pushed the door open wider and tiptoed inside. There, the room was dark. Only one dim red light was shining directly on the black wooden trunk sitting in the center of the room like a shrine. There were strange carved symbols glowing faintly on it. The air smelled like an old dusty church mixed with fear. Kadiatu's curiosity was now on fire. She touched the trunk gently while baby Khadijatu held her wrapper like a backup support. "Auntie, let us go before something starts shouting, oh." But Kadiatu countered her. "Shh! Courage, where is your spirit of investigation? She touched the padlock and surprisingly, it opened instantly as if it was waiting for her touch. She lifted the lid slowly. However, the moment she opened it, a loud whoosh, a blast of icy wind threw her backward onto the floor like a dramatic movie stunt. Papers flew in the air and something metallic clanged. Baby Khadijat jumped and screamed like a goat whose tail was stepped on. Inside the box, they saw something that shocked their skeleton. There were bundles and bundles of money wrapped tightly in black rubber, stacked high like a skyscraper, gold jewelry in small boxes, passports, confidential documents, and a police CID badge. Khadijat gasped and screamed softly, "Ha! I have entered trouble." But before they could recover, they heard heavy footsteps approaching quickly down the corridor. Baby Khadijat grabbed her wrapper and whispered, "Auntie, we are finished." Khadijat jumped up to close the box, but her scarf got stuck inside the lid and she fell flat again with a loud bam, scattering the bundles of money all over the room like rain of currency. Now, that was the moment the door opened and the mysterious tenant stood there. Tall, silent, angry, and holding 2 bags of food he bought. His eyes widened, and Khadijat's soul left her body temporarily, while baby Khadijat fainted dramatically with style. The man's jaw tightened, his nostrils expanded, and his eyes darkened like someone watching the season finale of a Nigerian drama. Khadijat froze like a statue, unable to blink or breathe. Her scarf was still trapped inside the trunk lid like an evidence. Baby Khadijat lay on the ground pretending to be unconscious, even though she kept peeping through one eye like a detective lizard. The man finally spoke in a slow but dangerous voice. "What are you doing in my room?" Khadijat started shaking so much that she sounded like a motorcycle about to start. I just came to check if you have leaking roof. Yes, roof inspection." The man looked up at the ceiling, which was completely dry. There was no damage, not even a small crack. He raised one eyebrow the way teachers look at students giving nonsense answers during exam. "With my key and inside my sealed trunk?" Khadijat nodded. "Yes. After the roof inspection, you must also check the trunk to confirm. Just fire safety." Baby Khadijat sat up a little and whispered loudly, "Auntie, your lie does not make sense." So the man moved one step closer like a judge marching to deliver judgments. Khadijat screamed and jumped up, running blindly out of the room like a goat escaping Christmas slaughter. She tripped on the money bundle and fell again in the corridor like a fallen mango. The noise spread through the compound instantly, and before the man could say stop, the entire compound rushed towards room 9 like people running for free food distribution. Mama Hawa arrived first, panting like a fridge overheating. "Hey, what is happening? I knew it. This is it. Something bad has happened." Sori, the town crier, arrived next shouting, "Thief! Ritualist! Kidnapper! Money laundering! Everybody bring phone and video!" Auntie Bintu dropped to her knees immediately, speaking in tongues and sprinkling anointing oil like pepper soup. "Fire! Fire! Any demon hiding in this box, fall down and die." People rushed and squeezed in, trying to see inside. Children climbed on top of the broken fridge to get a better view. The landlord, Pa Ibrahim, appeared last, holding a cane and shouting, "Not in my compound again. Every month, new problem." Just then, the man raised his hands and shouted above the noise, "Everybody stop, I am not a criminal." But nobody listened because African crowd does not believe a calm voice. They only believe panic and shouting. Mama Hawa shouted, "If you are not a criminal, why are you coming at night like a vampire?" Sori added, "Why are you carrying a coffin box?" Another tenant asked, "Why don't you talk to people? Are you a spirit?" And then, before anyone could speak again, sirens erupted outside the compound. Police vehicles screeched to a stop stop and officers jumped out with guns drawn. People screamed and scattered like cockroaches seeing lights. Women fell on the ground crying. Children ran out and jumped over the fence without looking back. The police stormed the corridor and pointed guns. Everybody, hands up! Where is the evidence? Who opened the secure case? All eyes turned slowly towards Kadiatu, who was kneeling on the floor, shaking like boiled spaghetti. The mysterious man pulled out his badge dramatically like a movie scene. I am Detective Inspector Musa Toure, undercover officer working on a multi-million fraud case. The evidence in that trunk was confidential, sealed for federal investigation. Unfortunately, because this woman opened it and triggered the security alarm, the criminals we are tracking are now coming here. Everyone gasped. Mama Hawa fainted stylishly. Sori screamed, "Ah, no!" Baby Khadijatu shouted, "Auntie, you have killed us!" Pa Ibrahim grabbed his head and shouted, "This compound again. Why is trouble always coming here? Why?" The detective pointed at Khadijatu angrily. "Do you know what you've done? Years of investigation, you ruined it in one day. Criminals are already tracking the signal. They could arrive any minute. All thanks to you." Just then, someone screamed from the gates, "They are here, oh!" And immediately, gunshots sounded outside. People screamed and ran inside their rooms, locking their doors and diving under the bed. A woman climbed a tree and refused to come down. One man ran without direction and fell into the gutter voluntarily. Kadiatu cried, shaking and confessing loudly, "I am sorry, I was just curious. I wanted to know. I did not mean to spoil anything, no. I would have minded my business." But it was too late. Gunshots echoed outside like wild fireworks from a crazy wedding reception, and the entire Sunyata compound scattered like dry leaves under a tornado. People continued running without balance. One man even jumped inside the dustbin and covered himself with a nylon bag. Some children climbed on top of the wardrobe like small village monkeys, and Auntie Bintu was rolling on the floor rebuking demons in 3 languages, shouting, "Fire! Thunder! Any bullets directed at me, return to sender by fire." Meanwhile, Kadiatu knelt in the middle of the corridor, crying loudly with mucus flowing down her nose like a river. Her hands were shaking like an epileptic fan. She was regretting every second she ever opened her 2 curious eyes in this life. The police officers formed a line of defense outside the compound walls, while Inspector Musa dragged the trunk back into his room urgently, shouting orders like a military commander. "Everyone, stay low, lock your doors. They want the evidence back." In the distance, heavy footsteps approached and a black van parked outside with screeching tires. Men wearing black masks jumped out holding weapons, and the whole compound collectively screamed, "Jesus, take the wheel!" Even atheists prayed that day. The criminals attempted to break the gates, banging it as if they wanted to enter heaven by force. The police exchanged fire. Bullets flew, metal clashed, windows shattered, and Sunyata compound turned into a full Nollywood action film. Through it all, Kadiatu continued to cry and beat her chest. "This is because of me, oh. My curiosity has destroyed us. I should have slept. I should have minded my business. God punish amebo spirits." Baby Kadiatu, who was hiding behind the water tank, shouted, "Auntie, why did you open the box now? I should be watching cartoon by now." The battle continued until more police backup arrived. They surrounded the criminals and arrested them after a dramatic chase scene involving someone using a frying pan as a weapon. When the gunfire finally stopped and silence spread across the compound like an exhausted sigh, everyone crawled out slowly from their hiding places like survivors of a hurricane. People were shaking, pale, traumatized, and angry. The compound gathered in the center like a courtroom, and all eyes turned to Kadiatu, whose wrapper had shifted like a confused bedsheet. Mama Hawa marched to the front and pointed her finger dramatically. "Look at this woman. Look at what your big eye has caused. Today we almost died because you want to know everything. Why couldn't you mind your business like a normal human being? Everyone shouted in agreement. If gist is passing, let it pass now. Why must you chase it? A man from upstairs shouted, your curiosity nearly killed us all. Are you in the FBI? Auntie Bintu fumed. If we had died today, who would explain to God that bullets killed us because somebody wanted to open a box? Our proclamation. Even Pa Ibrahim, the landlord, looked like he aged 10 years in few hours. He held his chest like someone whose blood pressure needed deliverance. From today, if any problem enters this compound again, I will sell this house and move to the monastery. Finally, the inspector stepped forward and faced Kadiatu. Madam, you nearly destroyed a national investigation and endangered every life here. Curiosity without wisdom is dangerous. Next time, mind your business. Kadiatu cried and fell to her knees like wet bread thrown on concrete. I am sorry. I am sorry, everybody. I will never put my mouth in what does not concern me again. I resigned from the gossip ministry. I dissolve my curiosity company. I hand over the Amebo presidency. Everyone burst into laughter because they knew she was serious this time. However, for weeks, the whole neighborhood continued to mock her. Even children sang a new nursery rhyme for her. Curiosity killed Kadiatu. She opened the box and saw trouble. Whenever someone tried to gossip, another person will shout, don't be like Kadiatu, mind your business. Even her gist partner, Mama Hawa, bought a t-shirt that read, what you don't know cannot embarrass you. One afternoon, Kadiatu stood in the center of the compound holding a megaphone and announced, from today, my door will remain closed. If drama is happening, please don't call me. I have retired officially. And everyone clapped because Sunyata compound could finally breathe. Hi besties, thank you for watching till the end. Did you enjoy the story? If you did, please kindly take a minute to wish Kadiatu a happy birthday. This story is dedicated to her. Happy birthday, bestie Kadiatu. I wish you a year filled with love, laughter and all the things that makes you happy. Kindly share the story out with your loved ones and give the story a thumbs up. Subscribe to this channel if you've not done so by now. Until I bring another story your way. Bye.